This build is better than Ice Strike in every way. On the leaderboard, you will see most people have been running Ice Strike with some Lightning Spear and some Stormwave, but I don't like their Stormwave builds. They're mostly running Stormwave because it's a great AoE clear ability, but their single target setup with Stormwave is really lacking. They're using Tempest Flurry more as a support skill with generating extra combo points, rather than a pure single target setup like I am doing. I have some really cool gems set up for Tempest Flurry for single target, some really cool interesting tricks with Stormwave I'm gonna now show you with the new charms, and I believe this build to be better in every possible way by a great magnitude, and you should definitely try this build if you wanna play this game in easy mode. I think this is probably better than Lightning Spear. And I'm not joking, it's far tankier than Lightning Spear with way more than enough damage to kill anything in the game in a split second. And really, my opinion, being tanky is king. Very friendly build for hardcore, by the way. Alright, let's get into it. So, I want to talk about the charms first. I'm running 2 shock charms. And you are getting about 468 guard per charm used. Plus, you have a stun charm, but really being able to have 100% uptime of your shocking charm and getting those 460 guard up all the time is a key part of this build, and it really increases your tankiness by quite a bit. So let's take a look. We have this gem, which is Overcharge, which grants 50% magnitude increase of your shock. Now, shock caused by supported skills is reflected back to you, and that doesn't matter because we're removing the shock with the charm. This allows the charm to proc all the time, meaning if we have 100% uptime of the charms, because we shock ourselves, we remove the shock, and we get the guard. Incredible effect from that. We are running for Stormwave. Let's go through the gems now. Upheaval, Primal Armament, Ambush, and Ice Bite. Due to running Ambush as our main way to guarantee a critical hit chance on our first hit. As you can see, my crit chance is 55, my critical damage bonus is 507%. You really want to prioritize crit damage everywhere. Whenever you get the choice between crit chance and crit damage, you take crit damage, and the reason is because you want to make sure that your first hit will kill your enemies. Now, for Tempest Flurry, in a similar way, I opted for a very heavy single target setup. Most people are running martial tempo on Stormwave. The reason why I'm not doing it is because rather than having more attack speed on Stormwave, I rather use one Stormwave and kill everything. So I run Primal Armament in it instead. And by having martial tempo on Tempest Flurry, the extra attack speed makes me cast my bells faster. I'm running Overextend, which will give me 30% critical damage bonus, but increases the likelihood I get stand. Not a problem, because Tempest Flurry is only used for bosses. Blindside, which gives me critical hit chance and critical damage on blinded enemies. A very powerful gem, but only good if the enemies are permanently blinded. For us, we have about a 10% chance to blind enemies, which is okay for bosses. In the first few hits, your Tempest Flurry plus Overcharge plus Tempest Bell, you will blind the boss really quickly, and then you will get the full benefit of this. This is why this gem is good for Tempest Flurry and bosses, but wouldn't be good for something like Stormwave. It's a very powerful gem with very high DPS increase, but not for all scenarios. Concentrated effect, not great if you're trying to wave clear or have a skill that is good for everything, but since we're only going for that single target, great. Martial Tempo, great for stacking or combo points faster, getting bells down faster, getting blind up faster. And in the end, close combat again. We are only fighting one enemy, we know where the boss is, we stay close, and we melt him down fast. The perfect setup for single target and the perfect setup for AoE. Tempest Bell, I have a setup that I'm very happy with. I was always a bit confused about what would be best on Tempest Bell, but now I have the answer. Overabundance. The duration of the bell is fine with Tempest for it being this quick, and I'm running 2 and 2 combo. So I'm running both the stun gems, 50% more stun build up and 500% more stun build up on every 50th. This makes so that after the enemy is frozen, you will get stunned. This means that pinnacle bosses and bosses in general don't really move and do anything against you. I add more physical damage, heavy swing and heft, because physical damage specifically is more likely to stun enemies compared to elemental damage. That's just a game mechanic, and this, in my opinion, is the best setup for Bell. Combat Frenzy with Profusion for additional charges, and optionally Warm-Blooded for who has the extra spirit. For Herald of Thunder, Long Shot, Charm Bounty, because as you know we are running a heavy charm setup now, Latin Mastery and Innervate. I would say Latin Mastery is the least important and Innervate is definitely something that you need to have on your setup. For Ghost Dance, Fast Forward and optionally Herbalism if you have the extra spirit. Charge Staff, I think Persistent makes the skill less annoying to use because we are not going to be running any duration. Pinpoint Critical, Soul Thief and Culling Strike. Those are mostly 2 support gems, and I think getting the extra damage on Pinpoint Critical is not needed, but it is an extra gem that you can run and adds a little bit damage to your charge staff. Wind Dancer is the most important support gem, spirit gem you need to run, with the 3 most important gems being Wind Wave, Unbreakable and Pin. Then Lockdown, and lastly, I like to cold infuse my Gale Force so that it has a lot more cold damage. As you can see, the DPS doesn't really drop even you're using cold infusion. This is fairly, I would say, simple to understand, which is that Wind Force will proc when you get hit melee, and when you get hit melee, I want my enemies to get stunned or to get frozen, and that's why we have this setup. Lastly, I really like Blasphemy with Enfeeble, Heightened Curse, and Magnified Effect. I find the extra damage reduction to be worth running, and running extra Heralds wouldn't really be a good idea, and possibly you could run more damage. There is some options for gems, and I'm gonna show you what you could run instead, that it is a little bit less reliable and you can run more damage through that. You could run Trinity, or you could simply run Charge Infusion is pretty bad to run. I don't think it's ever worth running because it's gonna eat you up your charges too quickly, more than you can create them, and you're simply not gonna have a charge up all the time to get the benefit from it. Elemental Conflux is 100 spirit and is gonna give you roughly 20% damage, and that's okay, but depending which element you have, you get less of the buff or more of the buff. In the end, I don't think it's a great support gem to have, and I'd rather have something more consistent like Blasphemy. And I think really tankiness is king, with 7000 energy shield and running 82% evasion with 13,000 evasion flat, which is important because, again, the more evasion you have, the more you get with Ghost Shroud. Let's talk about talents a little bit and the changes compared to what we usually get. Alright, so the first portion of the tree is going to be fairly normal, so we're getting everything here as usual. Same goes here. Now I have decided, well, it is best though, now that the cost of items are a little bit cheaper, to really maximize Subterfuge Mask and making sure that you get a full energy shield helm, meaning that you get more bonus for Subterfuge Mask if your helm has energy shield rather than split evasion energy shield type. Next, we're going to be going for cast inoculation, meaning we are not going to be needing cast resistance. And thanks to the new points here, we get about 40% of our energy shield at stun and ailment threshold, which is a lot. It's far better than having life or threshold. Now is more than double what it used to be, or elemental and stun threshold. It's almost triple what I used to have. On top of that, I also did nerf stuns. So pretty much impossible to get stunned and to get any type of ailment on you now. And chaos inoculation is really nice at this point. So since we go there, we take Arsopathian Barrier. And the rest of the tree remains the same. I advise that now that we are running a lightning-based build, where our physical damage gets changed from physical to lightning, from charge staff, and also Stormwave and Tempest Flurry are all lightning. We do not have enough cold damage without a time loss diamond that grants 4% damage as extra cold damage. So in total, we would have 20% extra cold damage here, plus 5%, so 25, and also 10 extra cold damage, for a total of 35% extra cold damage. And of course, if you can get some cold damage rolls on your rings or your gloves or on your weapon, that would be great. Other than that, for jewels, I think that trying to get energy shield jewels is incredibly expensive. And I would advise you guys to go for green jewels, which are used by less people, especially things with quarterstaff damage, quarterstaff attack speed, damage with quarterstaffs. They are less used than blue jewels with energy shield. And overall, they will cost a lot less and will grant you a lot more benefits. Those were fairly cheap for me to get. You can get evasion on it, which is never bad. Evasion is always really, really powerful because it's a lot of extra tankiness, and also you generate more energy shield when you get touched. Let's talk about gear and some ideas on how to get gear. So, critical hit chance, mandatory on your weapon, as 4% I would say, and then as high as possible physical damage DPS as you can get. Cap your resistances. You don't have to get any type of extra damage on your rings or on your gloves. Make sure your resistances are capped and make sure that you have enough stats for the build. You will need about 3 items with intelligence or dexterity to afford everything that you need for the build. Get as much energy shield and evasion as you can on your chest. Don't really worry about stats or resistances on it. For your helm, you have the option to go energy shield and go as high energy shield as you can. Don't worry about any other stats on it. Now, in terms of rarity, if you want to run gear with rarity, I would say I would rather get rarity on rings than getting rarity on my helm, because then you would not get the benefit from Subterfuge Mask. I think I made a mistake of buying my rings without rarity, and I will have to change my helmet to get rarity. Even though rarity has been nerfed and it's not as good, you don't really need to get rarity now anymore as much as before, but I still think that this build caps really fast, and at some point you become too tanky, do too much damage, and might as well invest in rarity, I guess, at that point. But till you reach to that point, you can ignore rarity, and it's been nerfed, so it doesn't really do that much as before. I believe it was capped at 100% before, and it should still be 100%, but nerfed in effect. So, max your resistances on rings, forget about the damage, get attack speed on your gloves, and don't worry about melee skill level. Gain range or melee hit is very good on your gloves. You don't really care about level 2 melee skills because of the cost of the skills will get too high. It's okay if you get a +2 somewhere, but don't get more than that. For your amulet, I would go maximum defense, so evasion, energy shield, and then get whatever you can get. Stats, critical damage, elemental resistances, rank 2 melee skills. And go for Storm Charge. I believe it to be the most reasonable, best damage you can get for your buck. It's a really good anointment to get this one if you can. It's Fear, Envy, which is not crazy expensive. And then for belt, go for an Ingenuity belt with 3 charm slots. They're very cheap. You can get one for less than 1 divine. Doesn't have to be 30% like mine. The price you pay, the premium to get a couple of extra percentage points, is not worth the value. it's better to invest this money in your weapon or anything else. Get one for less than a divine or a divine and you'll be okay. Boots get 30% move speed or more and get as much resistances, intelligence, dexterity, and don't really care too much about the energy shield on this one. Same thing for your gloves. So those are the two items that gives you the least amount of energy shield, so you don't really have to go hard on it. You only want evasion on your jacket. It's also very decent to get evasion on your rings if you can, and not get, for example, flat damage on them. It might seem weird, but it's very cheap, and for who does not have the budget, it's easier to buy some good rings with resistances, and maybe one roll needs to have Lich physical attack damage as mana. You need one of those. It's much easier to get good rings with resistances and then get like evasion on your prefix and just not have those pesky attack damage prefixes that are very expensive. Maybe get rarity if you can find, you know, things that are cheaper, but keep the build on a budget so that you can clear all the content. That's it for the build. As you can see from the footage that I've shown you, the build is a beast. Very excited to play a Charyula build next, actually, and I think Charyula Monk might be really OP. I'll see if I can change my ascendancy already, or if I have to level up a new character, I might do a different build next. I'm thinking about maybe trying a build with elemental expression, unless they allow me already to change my ascendancy to Charyula, which I think is secretly gonna be pretty OP. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next video.